And we're live here in Nourish, Heal, and Thrive. I am so excited to bring Stacie to you today because she's got such an amazing story and she does such cool things. Um, uh, she's she does she's like a travel agent and but her story is even better. So I'm excited to bring all that to you. And I love to travel, so this is means a lot to me. But Stacie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Derek, for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here to not only help you, but everyone in your community travel more and pay less. That's my thing. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, why don't you just start by introducing yourself, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay. Well, as Derek said, my name is Stacie. Last name is Jones, and I'm actually calling in today from Cincinnati, Ohio. This is my home away from home, but I'm back in the city because my daughter is actually going to make me a second time grandma. She is having a boy in August, so I'm super, super excited. So I had to come back to the area. But one of the joys of working remotely and doing what I do is I get a chance to work from anywhere in the world, which is fantastic. So I am a travel entrepreneur, and that means that I am an independent travel agency owner. So I invested in my own business about a little over 3 years ago. And the investment was done out of necessity, more so out of maybe the traditional ways that people have began their entrepreneurship journey. So I was given a God do over, not once, not twice, but three times. I survived strokes, and with that, I had to find out or discover another way of providing for my family, in short. Uh, I was always a multitasker, the individual that always got it done in the corporate setting. If there was a deadline to be made, I always made it happen. If sales needed to be increased, I always, was the one pounding the pavement and getting it done. And so this time I had to take a step back because I found myself unable to multitask. And when I mean multitask, like I can't chew gum and walk at the same time right now. I can only do one thing at a time. And the person I was prior to April of 2022, I could do, seems like 5,000 things at once, cook dinner, do job, got my husband running around, got the kids doing this and doing that and doing what sometimes most women and moms do. We juggle a lot of hats. And I was able to do it flawlessly because that's just who I felt that I was. I was an organizer, always putting things in their place. I call myself a recovering perfectionist because I always like things just so. But when you find yourself unable to identify a pen and you can't find that word in your brain, you kind of have to regroup and step back. So that's kind of what happened to me back in April of 2022. When I woke up from my first stroke, the neurologist asked me to identify or tell me or tell him what object he was holding. And I could not find the word pen in my vocabulary. And I was 49 years old and completely devastated. I remember the night before I was working and I thought I fell asleep on the couch. And I woke up the next day not being able to find the word pen in my vocabulary. I it, it it's it's like no other experience. I can't even describe it um, other than you just realize, what do you do now? And so I had to find a way to provide for my family where I could go to therapy 4 times a week, which encompassed most of the day, and work in between there and provide a decent living and also do it remotely because obviously I couldn't get back and forth to an office. That just wasn't possible. So I did invest in uh, my own travel business. One, partly because I'm getting older, 49 years old. That's what you do when you hit 50, you start traveling, you have grandkids. So I'm like, okay, great, no brainer. And, I'm still operating in that corporate mindset. And I said, I can do this. And obviously, I've helped other people build their empires and build, their dreams. So I could certainly do it for myself. So I embraced that and did fairly well, but not until last year did I feel like I moved into my purpose of having my travel business. I actually, one of the travel perks I get as an agent, we get a chance to try what we sell. So obviously, I book cruises so I can enjoy cruises, only paying port and taxes. And I can take a 2-week cruise, only paying port and taxes. So $247, I got a chance to go on a 2-week cruise to the Caribbean. So, Karis, I'm like, woohoo, great. But while I was on that cruise, someone actually asked me what had happened and wanted to know why I was using a walker because I looked so young. And I proceeded to tell them that, I've survived 3 strokes and so forth. And they looked at me and they said, oh, I'm so, so sorry that happened to you. And for the very first time, now this was in 2024, August 2024, I had my stroke in 2022. So not until 2 years after could I actually say with certainty that I was not upset that I had my stroke. And I don't know if it was being in the middle of the Atlantic, probably had a lot to do with it, being on a cruise for 2 weeks. That sure had a lot to do with it. And I'm sure my Long Island iced tea had a lot to do with it. But I said, you know what? I'm not. And I even shocked myself that I said that. It just kind of came out, and it might have been just my heart speaking because I realized at that moment, had I not had my strokes, I know I would have not been in the middle of the Atlantic sailing through the Caribbean for 2 weeks. And I just knew, and it just seemed like I felt like it was like something out of a movie. I felt like all these lights or whatever, and the music playing. And I knew when I got back to port what I needed to do with my God do over. I said, you know what? I am not going to have anyone ever have to say, I coulda, woulda, shoulda, be 96 years old, say they never got a chance to go to this destination, or someone say, oh, I couldn't go see my granddaughter, or whatever it might be, because now I have a tool and resources that I can share with everyone out there that anybody can take advantage of because travel agents aren't dead. We're alive and kicking. That you can go to that place that you always imagined. You want to go to Fiji and it's been a dream destination. It can happen. And you don't have to be limited by income. You don't have to be limited by resources. If you can't pay for it all up front, there's ways around that. So that's why I think I'm so excited because I came back off that cruise and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, God, this makes total sense. This is why I'm doing this. And I've always been passionate about travel. And so I think it really aligns with who I was. At 5 years old, I fell in love with the beach and I thought I was going to grow up and be a beach bum. But that doesn't pay much in 2025. So this is the next best thing. And I love it. So I just want to share that with everyone.
That's an amazing story. Such a big journey that, and you so many lessons. It's just amazing. And I could listen to you all day, just talk
Oh,
about that. It's just so
oh,
inspiring. Um, and actually, you reminded me of something when you're talking about being a beach bum. I actually took a trip, one of my first times really traveling, kind of on my own. I went to Guatemala, Belize, and
oh,
parts of
wow.
Mexico. And I
Oh,
was in Guatemala, I remember, and there's a big lake, I'm forgetting the name of the lake, but you can sit on the lake. It's a huge lake, and
Hmm.
there's like a beach. And I was on the beach, and I was watching this guy that was just renting kayaks to people. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I could do that. I
That's a
could just
life.
I could sit on this beach. And after about 20 minutes of thinking about that, then I'm like, well, if I do that, then I might not be able to afford to travel to other places. So I kind of got rid of that idea. But I'm at least for a day, I think,
Yeah.
sitting on the beach and renting kayaks would be fun to do.
Yeah, well, we'll have to make that happen just for a day.
Right?
And I think, Derek, the funny thing that you said that when I was really trying to figure out over the last, I guess, month and a half, really, if this was truly aligning with my inner child. People are always talking about, what does your inner child say? And like you have these moments where this is what I want to do. And I think that that's, our inner child or our heart speaking. And, like you, I grew up, but came back from my trip from Florida, started saying, oh, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever people were saying, because I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 73. So it was all about greed back then. So, of course, that all went out the window, that whole beach vibe and just being in the ocean and, traveling from place to place. That wasn't the quote unquote hip thing to do. And you get caught up with what your parents feel like they want you to do, what your friends are growing up to do. And you put that all aside. And it's funny because I was thinking the other day of how my life kind of really came full circle because I got my God do over. And, in my life, it's like, okay, well, this is what you always wanted to do. So I'm sorry I had to go about it this way, but it was the only way to bring you back to what was really aligned with your heart. So I don't know. We've got to find a way so you can do that kayak thing and do what you do now together.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So I know we're kind of short on time because you got another meeting, but was there anything that you didn't get to talk about that you wanted to talk about?
No, not really. I think we covered it all covered, sorry, I get tongue tied, especially when I get excited. I think we covered all of it. I do have a Facebook group. It is called From Daydreams to Destinations, where travel dreams come true. Go figure. So I'll drop that in the comments if Derek will allow me. So if
Sure.
anybody wants to travel, think that you could have, woulda, shoulda, or want to, please reach out to me. It's more attainable. I can do all the other stuff. You just have to sketch out the time. I can't do your time, your schedule, but I can do everything else, and we can certainly make it happen. That is my mission. I do what I believe. I mean, I do believe everyone should travel regardless of income, and I am very passionate about that. So please, please check me out, and thanks for taking time to listen out to me today.
Yeah, and we appreciate you being here. And I wanted to say to everyone in the group that if you're here on your health and weight loss journey, what a better way to reward yourself than
Yes.
to book an exciting trip,
Yeah.
talk to Stacie, schedule a trip, and that'll help motivate you to, to lose the weight and to get healthy. And, you'll be there and once you're at your goal, you'll have this awesome reward and this awesome trip that you can do. And Stacie is the perfect person to help you do that. So um Stacie is going to put all her contact information and her Facebook group in the links or in the comments, I mean, so you can contact her and talk to her more. If you have any other questions, put those in the comments. And yes, anything else you want to leave people with?
No, why wait? Don't wait. Because in my case, I did not know what I was waking up to. So you never know. Let's turn that someday into today. Let's just at least have the conversation. Doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So
All
thank you
right.
everybody for
Thank you.
watching. Thank you, Stacie, for being here. if you like what you are watching and seeing, let us know in the comments. Give us any feedback, any questions, and if you want to be spotlighted here in Nourish, Heal, and Thrive, just put interview in the comments and we'll set something up. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.